Hello, my dear friends. You step off the main boulevard into shadow. The noise of the city softens behind you. Ahead, the alley narrows. Cobblestones slick with something you would rather not identify. The smell hits you first. Rotting vegetables, unwashed bodies, smoke from coal fires. Something sweet and cloying underneath it all. You are entering a hidden market. Not the grand bazaars tourists write home about. Not the official merchant squares where guildmasters inspect goods and tax collectors hover. This is the other economy, the shadow trade, the place where the city really breathes. You might imagine these markets as quaint, romantic, a charming slice of old-world commerce. But there is nothing charming about desperation, nothing romantic about hunger that drives a mother to sell rags as silk, nothing quaint about the knife tucked into every vendor's belt. So before you get too cozy, take a second to gently tap that new hype button YouTube just added. It really does help little guys like me push through the algorithm. And be sure to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this strange little corner of quiet storytelling. Drop a comment with where you're listening from and what time it is for you. It's strangely comforting to know who else is drifting off with us around the world. Now get comfortable, let the day melt away, and we will drift back together into the quiet corners of the past. The alley opens into a cramped courtyard. Stalls lean against crumbling brick walls. Wooden planks balanced on barrels serve as counters. Tarps stretched overhead block out most of the sky. The light here is perpetual twilight, grey, dim, perfect for hiding what should not be seen. You move deeper into the market. Your boots squelch in mud. Or perhaps it is not mud. You do not look down to check. The first stall sells meat, cuts hanging from iron hooks, no labels. No indication of what animal they came from. The vendor is a thick woman with arms like hams. Her apron is stained dark brown. She watches you with eyes that miss nothing. You do not ask questions here. You point. She cuts. She wraps it in yesterday's newspaper. You pay. You move on. Next to her, a man sells bread, but not the kind baked in guild ovens. This is street bread, made in cellars, in back rooms, flour stretched with sawdust or ground peas. It will fill your stomach. It might make you sick. But it costs half what the legal bakeries charge, and for most people in this city, that is the only math that matters. You watch a young boy hand over 3 copper coins. The man gives him 2 small loaves. The boy clutches them to his chest like treasure. He disappears back into the crowd. The crowd is thick now. Bodies press against you. Elbows jab. Feet step on your toes. No one apologizes. Everyone is focused on survival, on getting what they need before the market is raided. Because it will be raided. It always is. The city authorities tolerate these markets, but only to a point. When they need to make an example, when they need to collect fines, when someone important complains. Then the constables come. Stalls are overturned, goods confiscated, vendors arrested, or beaten, or both. And then, a week later, the market reappears. In the same alley. Or a different one, like a weed pushing through stone. You pass a woman selling cloth, bolts of fabric stacked on a wobbly table, silk that is probably stolen, wool that might be contraband, linen with stains carefully folded out of sight. She calls out prices in a hoarse voice. A man examines a piece of blue silk. He rubs it between his fingers, testing the quality. He shakes his head. She drops the price. He shakes his head again. She drops it further. He buys. This is how every transaction happens here. A dance of distrust, a negotiation built on the assumption that everyone is lying. Deeper in, the goods become stranger. A stall selling used shoes, dozens of pairs, mismatched, worn. Some still carry the shape of the feet that wore them. You wonder where they came from. You do not wonder long. In a city this size, people die every day. Their belongings must go somewhere. Next to the shoes, a man sells tools, hammers, saws, chisels, all used. Some marked with the initials of their original owners, stolen probably, or pawned by desperate craftsmen who could not pay their debts. Now resold here, no questions asked. A blacksmith might buy back his own hammer without realizing it. You see a girl, no older than 10, standing behind a crate. On the crate, small clay pots. She is selling something. You step closer. The pots contain ointments, salves, remedies. Her mother makes them, she says. For aches, for rashes, for women's troubles. You ask what is in them. She shrugs. Herbs, she says. Good herbs. You do not ask if her mother is a licensed apothecary. You already know the answer. The air grows thicker as you move further in. More smoke, more bodies, less light. You pass a stall selling candles, tallow. Cheap. They smoke when they burn and smell like rendering fat, but they are a quarter the price of beeswax, so people buy them. Next, a cart piled with vegetables, turnips, onions, carrots caked in dirt. Some are bruised, some are rotting at the edges. The vendor picks through them as customers approach, hiding the worst ones underneath, showing the best ones on top. It is a practiced deception. You watch an old man buy a handful of carrots. He inspects each one. He argues. The vendor curses him. But she lowers the price. He pays. She wraps them in a rag. He shuffles away. You wonder if those carrots will be his only meal today. You suspect they will. Across from the vegetable cart, someone is selling live chickens, 3 of them crammed into a wooden cage. Their feathers are dull. Their eyes are dull. They do not make a sound. A woman points to one. The vendor pulls it out, wrings its neck with a single practiced twist, hands it over, still warm, still twitching. The woman tucks it under her arm and walks away. You hear singing, faint, strange. You follow the sound to a corner where a man sits on an overturned bucket. He is blind, milky eyes staring at nothing. In his lap, a wooden box. He sings a ballad, old, mournful, about a soldier who never came home. A few people stop to listen. Most walk past. One woman drops a coin into his box. He nods in her direction. Does not stop singing. His voice is thin, cracked, but it carries. You wonder how long he has been sitting there. You wonder if anyone knows his name. Beside him, someone is selling papers. Not newspapers, pamphlets, printed on cheap presses in attic rooms, political screeds, religious tracts, pornographic stories. All illegal, all dangerous to own. The seller does not call out. He simply holds them up, one at a time. Those who want them know what to look for. You see a young man in a scholar's coat approach. He glances around, picks up a pamphlet, reads the first few lines, tucks it into his coat, pays, walks away quickly. His face is pale. He knows what he is risking. The deeper you go, the more the market reveals itself. Not just goods, but services. A woman offers to mend clothes. She sits on a stool with a needle and thread. A pile of torn shirts beside her. She works fast. Her stitches are crude but effective. She charges by the garment. She does not look up as people drop items in her lap. Next to her, a man sharpens knives. A whetstone on his knees. Sparks fly as he works. The sound is rhythmic. Scrape, scrape, scrape. People hand him blades, kitchen knives, daggers, sometimes swords. He does not ask why a baker needs a sword sharpened. He simply sharpens it, takes his fee, moves to the next. Further along you see a barber. A wooden chair set up against a wall. A man sits in it. The barber lathers his face with soap, pulls out a straight razor, begins to shave. The man in the chair closes his eyes, trusts a stranger with a blade at his throat. In this place, trust is currency, rare, precious, easily lost. You notice the children. They are everywhere, running between stalls, picking pockets, delivering messages, selling small items from baskets, flowers, matches, ribbons. Their faces are too old for their ages, their eyes too sharp. They have learned to survive in a world that does not care if they live or die. One girl approaches you. She holds out a bunch of wilted violets. She does not speak, just stares. You give her a coin. She takes it, does not say thank you, runs off. You watch her vanish into the crowd. A boy no older than 7 stands near a stall selling fish. He is not buying. He is waiting. When the vendor turns his back, the boy snatches a small fish, tucks it under his shirt, walks away, calm, practiced. The vendor does not notice. Or perhaps he does and chooses not to care. One fish will not ruin him, and the boy might starve without it. This is the mathematics of the alley market. Theft is survival. Survival is moral. You pass a stall selling books, not new ones, used, battered, spines cracked, pages missing. The vendor is an old man with spectacles. He sits behind his table reading, does not look up. You browse the titles. Religious texts, outdated medical manuals, novels missing their covers, a grammar book in Latin, a collection of poetry in French. You pick up a small leather-bound volume. The title is worn away. You open it. The pages are filled with handwritten notes. Someone's diary. You wonder how it ended up here. You wonder if the writer is dead, or simply desperate enough to sell their thoughts. You set it down. The old man glances up, nods, returns to his reading. Next to him, a woman sells trinkets, jewelry, buttons, broken watches, small mirrors, things scavenged, things pawned, things stolen. She arranges them carefully on a velvet cloth, as if presentation will make them valuable. A young woman stops, picks up a ring, silver, tarnished, a small red stone. She asks the price. The vendor names a figure. The young woman shakes her head. The vendor sighs, lowers it. The young woman buys it, slips it on her finger, smiles. For a moment she forgets where she is. You pass a stall selling books, not new ones, used, battered, spines cracked, pages missing. The vendor is an old man with spectacles. He sits behind his table reading, does not look up. You browse the titles. Religious texts, outdated medical manuals, novels missing their covers, a grammar book in Latin, a collection of poetry in French. You pick up a small leather-bound volume. The title is worn away. You open it. The pages are filled with handwritten notes. Someone's diary. You wonder how it ended up here. You wonder if the writer is dead, or simply desperate enough to sell their thoughts. You set it down. The old man glances up, nods, returns to his reading. Next to him, a woman sells trinkets, jewelry, buttons, broken watches, small mirrors, things scavenged, things pawned, things stolen. She arranges them carefully on a velvet cloth, as if presentation will make them valuable. A young woman stops, picks up a ring, silver, tarnished, a small red stone. She asks the price. The vendor names a figure. The young woman shakes her head. The vendor sighs, lowers it. The young woman buys it, slips it on her finger, smiles. For a moment she forgets where she is. You notice the enforcers. They are not officials, not constables, but they keep order. Men with scarred knuckles, women with hard eyes. They move through the market slowly, watching. A vendor steps out of line, tries to set up in someone else's spot. One of the enforcers appears, says something low. The vendor argues. The enforcer does not raise his voice, does not need to. The vendor picks up his goods, moves. Further along, two men begin to fight. Over what you cannot tell. A price, an insult, a woman. They shove each other. Voices rise. An enforcer steps between them. One hand on each chest, she speaks quietly. They stop, walk away in opposite directions. She watches until they are gone, then returns to her patrol. This market has its own law, unwritten, unspoken, but absolute. Break it and you are cast out, or worse. You reach the back of the market. Here the goods are darker. A man sells locks, old ones, new ones, picks to open them. He does not advertise, does not call out. Those who need his wares know where to find him. Next to him, a table covered with small vials. Liquids, powders, poisons perhaps, or medicines. The line is thin. The vendor is young. Too young. But his eyes are old. He measures carefully, pours into glass bottles, stoppers them, labels nothing. A woman buys 3 vials, tucks them into her sleeve, leaves without a word. You do not ask what they are for. In a corner, someone is selling information, not openly, but you can tell. A man sits on a crate. People approach, whisper, he nods, or shakes his head. Sometimes he writes something on a scrap of paper, hands it over, takes payment. The person leaves. He waits for the next. This is the market's nervous system. Rumors, secrets, warnings. Who is looking for whom? Which streets to avoid? Which officials can be bribed? Knowledge is survival. And survival is bought and sold here like bread. The light is fading now. Not that there was much to begin with, but the shadows grow longer. Darker. Vendors begin to pack up. Goods disappear into sacks. Tables are folded. Tops pulled down. The market is dissolving, melting back into the alley. Within an hour, there will be no trace of it. Just wet cobblestones, just empty walls, just the ghosts of transactions. You watch a woman bundle her unsold vegetables. She looks tired, defeated. Tomorrow she will be back. And the day after. And the day after that, because there is no other choice, a man lifts a heavy sack onto his shoulder, grunts, begins to walk, others follow, disappearing into side streets, into cellars, into rooms where the goods will be hidden until the next market day. You see the blind singer stand, pick up his box, tap his cane against the ground, walk slowly toward the alley entrance. Someone guides him, a hand on his elbow. They vanish together into the dusk. The enforcers are the last to leave. They sweep through one final time, making sure no one is left behind, making sure no evidence remains. Then they too are gone. You stand alone in the empty courtyard. The silence is sudden, absolute. It is hard to believe that moments ago this place was full of life, of noise, of desperate commerce. Now it is just stone and shadow. You hear footsteps behind you. Turn. A constable appears at the alley entrance. He walks slowly into the courtyard, looks around, sees nothing, sees you. He stares. You stare back. He knows what this place was. You know he knows. But there is no proof, no goods, no vendors, just an empty space. He spits on the ground, turns, walks away. You wait until his footsteps fade, then you leave, back down the alley, back toward the main boulevard. The noise of the official city returns. Carriages, shopkeepers, lamplighters beginning their rounds. It feels like stepping between worlds, from shadow into light, from truth into illusion. Because the official city is the illusion, the hidden market is the truth. It is where the city really lives, where it breathes, where it survives. These markets existed in every major city: London, Paris, New York, Shanghai. They had different names, different goods, but the same heartbeat, the same desperate rhythm. They were the shadow economy, the place where laws bent, where survival trumped morality, where people did what they had to do, and they still exist, in different forms, in different alleys. But the principle is the same. Where there is need, there is trade. Where there is prohibition, there is defiance. Where there is poverty, there is ingenuity. The hidden markets are not romantic. They are not quaint. They are brutal. Necessary, human. They remind us that hunger does not care about legality, that desperation makes its own rules, that the margin between survival and ruin is thinner than we like to believe. So the next time you walk down a clean, well-lit street, remember, just one alley over, just one wrong turn away. The other city waits, the real city, the one that never sleeps, the one that never stops trading, the one where your ancestors haggled, stole, survived. The hidden market, still breathing, still alive, still waiting in the shadows.